What do you want me to do?
Hey folks, welcome back once again to Harley Day Rider, your good old friend HDR, here for the 2019 Maine Trip wrap-up. Or as Mrs. HDR kind of dubbed it as we were on the trip, what did you call it? You remember?
No.
The New England trip.
It's the New England trip.
Yeah.
Not just the Maine trip.
Yeah, because we went to many states, and we'll talk about that in just a second here. But I don't think I talked to you about that on video. Maybe I did. But anyway, we're going to go through a couple things here with you to wrap up this year's trip. It was a tough trip. I think it was harder on us because it was such a short run. We're used to having how many days?
Like 13. This was shorter, definitely shorter.
Yeah, the last 2 years we had 13 days on the road. This year it was a total of actually 8 days on the road. So
we had to compress a lot into less days.
Yeah, we compressed a lot down. I mean, you're packing and moving pretty quickly.
Every day.
It's almost like you're robbing a bank in a different city every day, but not.
We did not rob a bank in any city.
We didn't rob any banks. So I think the first thing I wanted you to maybe touch on for the female audience out there, for a lot of you females, I hear a lot from the guys, the husbands. When I do my videos, I get a lot of responses back. My wife either A, won't ride with me, or B, when we go, she wants to take 4 trailers and a tractor trailer truck and pull that behind the bike because she wants to take 27 pair of shoes and 8 bathing suits. But I mean, so I'm going to let Ms. Stacey kind of clarify that for you females out there, and maybe tell them, what do you really need? I mean, outside of packing, I mean female stuff. So I mean, you talked about that makeup kit you wish you can show them, but we're not going to show that to you, but just maybe if you can explain it.
I just take everything in one bag. I try to downsize everything. Take just enough of something that you need. And it's a fold-up bag, and it has numerous pockets, and then you fold it up all together and tie it, and you can put it in your on the motorcycle. But I did take a curling iron, and I was guilty of maybe 2 days being a little later than I should have been, trying to get ready, doing something, because when I ride the bike, I constantly have a ponytail. I put my helmet on. When I get off the bike and we see something, I put a ball cap on and I have my ponytail. But there was the one day we went into Boston and I tried to fix my hair and look a little different rather than just a ball cap. But you can do stuff, but you're going to have to downsize. Just take exactly what you need and you should be fine.
Even though it's funny because she'll fix her hair all up and then you throw this thing on your head that's going to just tear it all up anyway.
Smashes your hair down anyway. So
yeah, because you're going to put a helmet on your head, so you're going to smash it down anyhow. But I mean, it's always great, guys, and I'm sure you understand with your females or wives or girlfriends getting ready to go anywhere, that they want to make themselves so prettied up for us, or that's always neat. Or maybe they just do it for themselves. And that's fine.
Sometimes.
That's fine too. So that's not a problem. I mean, we're used to that. We did find we kind of laughed one day because pretty much every hotel room you go into there's a hair dryer. Not that I need it. My hair is usually pretty short, but
there are hair dryers.
And
I even look for ironing boards. I know that's a little crazy and old-fashioned, but I'll iron something because when you pack, we roll up stuff and put it in the side of the motorcycle, and it might get wrinkled. And like I said, you want to go into some place and not look wrinkled, but that's up to you.
Yeah, even though you're going to throw your riding jacket on again and you're going to wrinkle that shirt up anyway. So is it worth, I don't know, is it worth it? Maybe it is. I mean, it's that last step. And like she said, we're a little bit old-fashioned, we're getting a little bit older, and it's just the way we were raised. If you're in your 20s and 30s, we hear people all the time, well, I take my laundry out, out of the dryer
and just throw it on.
And throw it on, or throw it in a drawer, or hang it in the closet and put it on. They don't even own an iron, so that might be the old-fashioned part of us there. We're just going through some of the highlighted notes that we actually put together here. we talked pretty much about the time already.
You can't plan. You can have a general plan, but you have to be flexible. You can't, you know, if you can't make it to where that point that you exactly wanted for that day, you just have to be flexible.
Flexibility on here. We have one thing on here about starting early. If you know that you're going to be putting 300 or 400 miles on your bike in one day, don't leave at 11 o'clock. And don't wait until the temperature outside is 110 degrees and then you get on that bike thinking, I'm going to make 400 miles. Because you're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen. I mean, not that we're any means, we've talked to several couples that are way more veterans at this than we are. But we have a lot of miles under our butts now, and we've done this for a while, to tell you that if you're going to go 400 miles, get on that bike by 7 o'clock in the morning and get on the road. To get where you're going. So we spend a lot of time, and you've heard it in the videos, on Interstate 95 and 195.
Mm-hmm. 95.
And it was touch and go at some points. I mean,
It's a little scary sometimes. I don't know if you caught the one video that I
had a blooper.
Yeah, I did. I needed to be bleeped. But it gets scary sometimes.
And if you didn't catch it, well, too bad, because we did actually was able to edit it out with YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for allowing me to edit online. But because we want the channel to stay really G-rated, we really focus on that a lot. But when you're on the road and you have that, it happened to be a red car, it was an older gentleman, and what happened was we watched him get off of like a rest stop. And I don't know if he changed his mind or he noticed it was closed or it said there was no bathrooms available. Then he just kind of right back on the highway. It's no turn signal, nothing. He didn't even stop to look. And yeah, Mrs. HDR was kind of concerned with that. Not that it was interfering with us. We were in a far enough lane over that we were okay. But yeah, don't get freaked out, guys. When you take these motorcycles out there and you get on the highway, the basic thing is with the motorcycle that I've learned on the highway, stay with them. Stay with the speed of traffic. If they're doing 70, keep that bike cranked at 70, 75 and stay up on it, you know. Don't go out there thinking, oh, I'll do 55 and they're blasting around you at 80. Somebody's going to run over you, you know. So, and people always tell me too, well, how do you deal with the tractor trailers? We've talked about in the videos. Get to the left side of them and get around. Once you decide and you make a decision, you're passing a tractor trailer, crack that throttle and pass them. There was a couple times Miss Station said, you're going 80. A couple times we did hit 80, but we passed the tractor trailer truck. Don't play around. So that's my word of advice.
No, get around them.
We have here a couple things I marked on here that we wanted to do that we just didn't have time to do. And it kind of bothered us both a little bit when we were leaving Maine. Because I went to Maine for the past 3 years. I've been wanting to go to Maine for one thing and one thing only.
A lobster.
To eat a lobster. That's what most people want to go to Maine for.
Not me.
Not somebody that doesn't like seafood. So we got to Maine. We spent a day with Happy Jack, which was a great day. We had an enjoyable day. He took us to an amazing lunch. And then he fed us enough food for a kingdom. But and we appreciate that, Happy Jack. Absolutely. It was a wonderful lunch. But we ate at like 2 o'clock, I guess, right?
Yes.
Somewhere around 2 o'clock.
I got a little bit started late that day.
Well,
so
yeah.
I kind of backed everything up. So
a little late. There was a little late start. Little miscommunications between Mrs. HDR and what maybe Happy Jack was telling us that when he was going to meet us, but it worked out fine.
But it was my fault, and I pushed back all the time, so I got us started later.
Yeah, so we got to lunch a little bit later, and Happy Jack was a trooper. He came anyway. He took us on a wonderful tour up the East Coast. Everybody's seen that video, and he took us to lunch. Well, it was about 2 o'clock. So when once we were done with Happy Jack, and he was going home, it must have been 5 o'clock maybe.
It was around there.
And he even said, why don't you guys get a hotel? He said, don't go all the way to Maine because you have 135 more miles, I think it was.
Well, to Booth Bay. We were over into Maine, but...
Yeah, to Booth Bay. So So he left and we talked and said, well, I said, where do you want to go? And she said, I don't know, what do you want to do? And I said, let's go to Booth Bay. So we went the extra 135 miles and made it. But we got there about
7:30.
7:30. So, but we checked into our room, had a wonderful room on the bay. Then the restaurant right below us was closed. It was that Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. They're closed on Monday, Tuesdays. Weird, but that's their hours. So we walked up the street to a restaurant. Well, they had everything. They had lobsters, they had clams, they had mussels, they had every seafood item you wanted.
Cheese quesadillas.
Cheese quesadillas, a wonderful bar, great bartender.
Nikki.
Nikki the bartender. So Nikki, if you're watching this, hi from Pennsylvania. But anyway, we weren't starved, so we were talking. I said, well, I'm going to get the lobster chowder. So I got a cup of lobster chowder, and Mrs. H.R. ordered her seafood. What was it?
Cheese quesadilla.
Cheese quesadilla in Maine.
In Maine.
So we did that, and it worked out okay. Well, we were talking, and she said, well, you getting a lobster? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, why don't we stay in Maine? I mean, this Booth Bay is a beautiful place. Why don't we stay here another day? So we started talking. It's like, yeah, let's stay here another day. Well, and I was going to eat lunch or dinner there, because if we were there a whole nother day, that would have made sense. So I didn't get the lobster. I was like, it's all right, we'll hold off till tomorrow. Well, I woke up in the morning, and the more I started thinking about it, the more it's like, we only have 8 total days to be on the road, and we have a lot of miles to come back. So I said, well, you better get back on the road and not stay another day. See, if we would have had 13 days, we would have, no doubt about it.
We would have stayed.
We would have had another day in Booth Bay, and we would have had a great time.
Or went up to
Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor.
Yeah, went up to Bar Harbor. But so anyway, so that's what happened. So I didn't get a lobster. I mean, that's sad.
A whole lobster. He
No,
had
a whole
lobster chowder.
I had and there was actual lobster in it. If anybody go back and watch the video from Plymouth Rock, where I ordered a
lobster
bisque, and we looked it up. There should be lobster in it, but it was more like lobster broth. But I'm not going to relive painful stories. That hurt. I mean, that was $4 my hard-earned. Yeah. And we did, for everybody that asked, Mrs. H.R. did tip the waitress.
I did.
And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to make you go back and watch the Plymouth Rock video. What day was that?
That was 2.
Day 2. So go back and watch day 2 video, and you'll know what we're talking about. So, and we didn't see any lighthouses. That was the other thing that we really wanted to do in Maine, and we just didn't have the time to go find any lighthouses. So, you know, we knew we wanted to do a motorcycle trip this year. As many of you know, I did take a new job. My boss was wonderful enough after 2 months to give me a week's paid vacation. I think that was very noble of the guy.
It was very generous.
It was very generous for him to let me do that. He also paid me on that Friday when we went and did the West Virginia vloggers meetup, the vloggers and sub meetup. He gave me that Friday and paid me that day, so it was generous. So I wasn't going to ask for anything more. So maybe next time. Who knows? Don't be afraid to... Oh, this is a good one. So we were talking, some days you're going to be on that motorcycle and you're going to be riding for that 400 miles, and you're going to be doing roughly 7 to 8 hours on the bike. So you get to a hotel room and you want to go out to dinner maybe, or you want to go see a show, or I don't know, you want to do something. So don't be, we were talking about this one here.
When we were in Boston,
well, the first thing I wanted to talk about was don't be afraid to grab an Uber. When we were in Boston, we had an amazing, we'll call them the host family, the Happy Jack, Mrs. Happy Jack, and young little Happy Jack. And you guys seen that video. That was on day 4? Day 3. He contacted me over Facebook. We've talked a lot over the past year or so. We became like YouTube friends, like many of us. And we were talking that morning. We were getting ready to leave the hotel. He said, don't drive in Boston. Don't take your motorcycle to Boston. It's a very bad idea. So he invited us to come to his house. He sent me his address. He said, come to my house. leave your bike all packed. We'll pull it in my garage. He made room. I think we told you all this on the video, but just to reiterate, so if you have that helping hand on the road, if somebody's going to offer you something like that, you know, it's generous, and don't turn a blind eye towards it, I guess I'm saying, because it was absolutely amazing. I mean, they invited us into their home. They allowed us to change into our shorts, and then he took us to the T. It was just absolutely amazing, generous.
It was.
Just to have somebody that we met on these YouTube videos, that's really, really wonderful. But,
It was really nice.
so yeah, but park the bike.
Hospitality was wonderful.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely, Happy Jack. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. But if you are out there somewhere, and if you have a safe place to park your motorcycle, and you know you're going into a busy city, like a parking lot somewhere, I know it's loaded down, you got all your stuff on it, it's really dangerous just to leave it. But you know, shoot for the public transportation. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to do that.
Even if you can get to a hotel and that's close to public transportation.
And that's what we were looking for. We were looking for a hotel next to the T in Peabody. But in Peabody, now Peabody is a place in Boston, Mass. It's right outside the Boston.
Right outside Boston.
And it's not pronounced Peabody. It's spelled Peabody.
Like we would pronounce it.
And yeah, many people say that. But the local people taught us that it is Peabody. So anyway, there's your lesson for this video. Yeah,
We're
Mystic.
going to try to go all the way to Mystic
We're
on
going to try to
Saturday.
make it to Mystic the first day. Because again, the further you can go, the further you go that first day when you're fresh. We talked about that too. You wake up that first day of vacation, you're like, oh, let's go. We'll go 900 miles today because we're fresh. Our butts don't hurt. Our backs aren't hurt. Let's just go. And you can do, folks, you could do 500 miles. When she's seen that storm up there and she goes, it's going to rain. So we just got the highway and just, like she said, got a hotel, got something to eat, and it rained like crazy rain.
It did.
So
Started pouring.
we were safe.
So we sat in the hotel bar with Eric, the bartender, who was very nice.
Eric, the bartender, was really nice. So we were the only customers. So
We were.
But I can't think of anything else that we need to tell you about the wrap up. Anything else on your end?
We had a good time. We went through, I think, all, including Pennsylvania, 8 states, 9 states. I thought the White Mountains in New Hampshire were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You have to go and go North Conway up Route 312. No, I'm sorry, 302.
302 out of North Conway. Beautiful mountain
And go
tops.
through the White Mountains. They were beautiful. Maine, we'll have to go back. It was really pretty there. You want to see a lighthouse? You have to get him a lobster.
Got to get a lobster.
Boston, love Cheers. Had to go see Cheers and have a beer at Sam Adams. Mystic, Connecticut, like the pizza.
Pizza was
It
really
was
good.
cute. It was a nice little town too. It was really nice. I liked it. Plymouth Rock, I like the Rock.
And even Mystic being a very little town, very, very motorcycle friendly. You could park anywhere you want. I mean, they have a lot of parking areas. I kind of hate Mystic, Connecticut right now because I have a very sore spot, and if you watch that video, you know what it is. You know what happened at Mystic. What happened at Mystic?
He dropped his helmet.
I dropped my helmet, brand new helmet. Yep.
Brand new helmet.
Got a ding on it. Now, if you watch that video, you'll know that. I wasn't
Brand new
happy.
helmet.
But I got over it. The helmet's fine. It still works fine.
We did run into somebody from Pennsylvania. Well, he used to live in Pennsylvania. This older gentleman stopped and talked to him about the motorcycle.
Yeah, matter of fact, he has a motorcycle. I can't remember what kind. He said is in his garage that he wants to sell. I think it's a 1935 Harley. Now I'm just making that up. I don't know what it was, but he was a very nice guy. He actually told us before we left, ride safe and be careful out there. So, just like you'd say to any other biker on the road. So,
Vermont was nice. It was small, not a lot of people that we saw anyway. And Lake Placid, he loved riding the ferry. He finally got to ride on a ferry with the motorcycle.
Yeah, if you go back and look at my videos for any new subscribers out there, go back and look how many times I went to a place called Sisterville, West Virginia. I think I was down there 4 times to ride a ferry, and every time it was closed. I even took her one time. We had a great lunch, but the ferry was
It was
closed.
closed.
So I finally got my motorcycle on the ferry. Well,
We did.
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And Miss HR just said 9 days, in 9 states in 8 days. I like to make it dramatic. 8 states in 8 days. It sounds more dramatic.
Well, if you
and-
include Pennsylvania.
Yeah, if you include Pennsylvania.
Started in Pennsylvania, came back to
And we
Pennsylvania.
ended in Pennsylvania. You could have said 10 because you started here and ended here, I guess. So that makes it even more dramatic. 10 states.
We went different ways through Pennsylvania.
8 days.
So.
One thing on a trip that we learned over the years, we never come back the way we go. So that makes it a lot more exciting. You know, like in a car, you know, if I was going to Maine, I'd go right up 95. I'd go to Maine, I'd eat my 4 or 5 lobsters, get in the car and drive right back 95 and come home from vacation. That's what you normally do. We found some amazing roads. Once we learned how the GPS on the motorcycle worked, man, we were in heaven because
It worked really well.
it did. It worked really well. That first 2 or 3 days in, I was really complaining about it to you folks, and then we hooked her phone up to it with her music through the Bluetooth, and we can hear it. It amplified it beautifully, and we had great tunes going down the road.
We learned how to find restaurants. We learned how to find points of interest,
Yeah,
gas stations.
Yeah,
So
for everybody out there that really, and a lot of you guys told me, you said HDR, it's user error. You're right. You were right. It was, yeah.
coming from the technology.
Yeah, it was user error. I'd
It
rather.
usually says that anyway.
Unlike people with computers, they'd rather complain about them than just figure out how to use them, you know. But
And he'll say it's user error.
it's just user error, and it was. So for everybody that hates the Harley Day, and I know there's quirks. There is quirks in it. It's not
There is.
100%.
And you can't see it when the sun's glaring on it.
Yeah, you're
He
not
said
gonna see
somebody
it.
made a comment about a shield. You need something because you can't see it.
You need a shield on there, but and we told you we saw that sheets. It wasn't on that GPS. That GPS said the next sheets was in 21.9
It did.
miles because we were driving to it.
It did.
Miss HR said, "Look over there, it looks like a sheets." I said, "It can't be. It's not on the GPS."
Maybe it was a new one. Maybe it's a brand new one.
But yeah, so the maps didn't get updated. I mean, Bodine is building those sheet stores all over America. I mean, he's putting those up so fast. I just can't believe it. So
We did take a picture and Snapchat it to it.
we did. We snapped them. So
Because
All
we
right.
missed them.
we did. They were supposed to go with
Bodine
us.
and
They backed
Mrs.
out.
Bodine.
They backed out, and you know there was reasoning behind that they had to, and that's fine. Things happen. We understand it. I mean, but we did miss them on the trip. We had a lot of great stuff planned out with them. You know, so and I told Bodine a couple times. I've been talking to him recently. I mean, we talk all the time, but a lot of times we would have the waitress actually set a plate out for them and glasses of water. Even though they're not coming, we knew they weren't coming, but the waitress didn't know. But it made us feel a little closer to them not being there. So
No, he would say in the morning, "Oh, I think, you know, Bob's outside already packing his bike,
yep,
getting ready to go."
I'd look out the window and be like, "Oh, look, he's out there shining his bike off already. He's wiping the windshields off." So, but we made the best of it, and we did miss you guys.
We did.
All right, so Bodine's been calling me. He's been having Mrs. Bodine snap Mrs. HDR because he goes, "I wouldn't feel right Snapchatting another YouTube man's wife." And I'm like, "We're almost all family. It doesn't really matter. You could have sent her Snapchat, but," and been really bothering her to do this wrap-up video because he wanted to know one thing. What was the one thing he wanted to know?
How many miles did you go?
How many miles was it? Well, what we're going to do just for Bodine is we're going to leave that for a cliffhanger for the wrap-up show of next year. We'll tell you this year's
Oh,
mileage.
we're not.
No. The first, I'm going to just reiterate this back. I'm trying not to make this too long. Hopefully you're hanging in there with us. The first year we did 3,420 miles. I know that. It's like when women have a baby, they go, I had that baby at, 2:02 a.m. and the baby was 13 ounces and it was 4 feet 7 inches. Well, whatever. But women know this. Men, if you go on a bike trip, you're going to remember the mileage. Last year, I was still trying to think. I think it was 2,400. 2,000. I think it was like, yeah, and I just said that, but I'm pretty sure it was 2,000. Let's say 2,400 last year. Now, mind you, both last year and the year before was 13 days on the road. This year was 8. In 8 days, we traveled a
Sorry.
total of
1,925 miles.
Yes, folks, it's like a mileage thon. We traveled 1,925 miles, Mr. Bodine and everybody else. So it worked out extremely well. You know, too bad we couldn't have got the extra 75 miles in there, hit the 2,000, but it's not a big deal. We've seen everything we wanted to see. And here's the best thing when I come back from a motorcycle trip, and I was telling my neighbor, he said, man, you went all that way and you've seen all that stuff. I said, yeah. You know what the best thing is? We spent $150 in gas. $150 in a Road Glide Ultra, fully loaded, fully packed out with all that weight on it. You know, with my big frame, my big butt on there all day, but ran like a champ. I mean, it did. It ran really good. I mean, that, you know, people that badmouth the Milwaukee 8, I can tell you, from what I've heard, what I've read, and what I watched on YouTube is, you know, don't do the cam upgrades. I think that's when people start having troubles, when they cam them out, when they upgrade the engines and do all that stuff to them. But pretty much a stock engine, it ran fine. And I had it serviced the day before we left, so I knew everything was ready to go. But that is about it. We don't want this video to go any longer.
Nope, just thanks again to Happy Jack and his family, his wife, his daughter, and for the people driving the motorcycles, I put all my faith in him.
Ha! Faith in me.
To keep me safe. And I do look out here and there. That's why I, you know, might swear a couple times here and there, because I'm looking out for us too. But you know, I'm comfortable enough to sit there and go all those miles because I feel safe with him driving.
But okay, so yeah, but thanks to Happy Jack and his family. But you know what? Thanks to everybody out there too that makes all this great travel possible. I mean, it's because of you that. No, that's not. It's just, no, we just like you watching the shows. Yeah, we enjoy you watching. I love the comments. I read them when you guys are commenting back to Mrs. HCR. I read them back to her, and you know, she may give you a response, or she may just tell me to respond back to you. So, but we do like getting those comments. It's a big part of what we do here, of our little YouTube motorcycle community. So, but we're gonna wrap it up. Nothing else?
No, I'm done for this year, 2019.
Well, hopefully she's not done. Hopefully I'll get her back on the bike, but usually it doesn't work out that way.
This long of a trip.
Well, yeah, for this long. I mean, we may go to hit some wineries or something, you know, because that's always a good, smart thing to do on a motorcycle. But,
and we missed you, Bodine and Mrs. Bodine. We missed you.
We missed you on the trip this year. Maybe next year we'll have, you know, 20 or 30 different couples want to go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but we are always game. If we're in a town, you know, we're around. We're always happy to meet you. Always happy to sit and maybe have a beer with you or something, just or lunch, by all means. And if we can work it out, like with Happy and ride, we'll be happy to ride with you. You know, visit you that way. So, all right. Well, remember, I always tell you, ride your own ride. Be safe out there. And that's it for the 2019 Maine Trip, or New England Trip, however you want to say it. I'm not going to change the name because it's been rolling through this whole series, so we're going to leave it roll. But thank you so much, and we will talk to everybody sometime down the road on the bike. Bye for now. See you.